Afternoon intuitives. Given that it's the weekend, despite all I have to do, given my current circumstances, a lot of it, particularly the phone calls and people I have to talk to, can only be done on business days. So, Sunday. I have hopefully time to make more than just this video, but we'll see how it goes. I do have stuff I can get going on, but again, Sunday I am severely limited. Um, Hello, new subscribers. Thank you for subscribing to this Nobody channel. And if you are subscribed, hopefully you like the information because there's no flash and pizzazz on this channel. It's some aging pretty boy talking into a microphone in the basement of his house that he inherited and has to get ready to sell because he wants to get out of this area. But anyway, welcome to my house. And I'm a neat freak, but my mother was not. And given that I inherited this house from her, you know, I could take you to my clean room, but it's awful witchy in there. Yeah, there's a Lilith altar and all that. Maybe I'll show it one day. But I want to get to a topic that I've been thinking of for a while, and I haven't done an INFJ video in a little while because I've been more focused on the narcissism thing because one of them got over 2,000 views. I don't know how that happened. Maybe the algorithm didn't fuck me for once. Stop fucking me, algorithm. I have good information to share, and look over the fact that I'm a nobody. Pretend I'm a somebody. Used to be a firefighter. Ex-Kenneth Cole model. Huh? Algorithm, does that help at all? No? No? Not at all? Okay. So, we'll get back to the topic. It's dusty down here. Anyway, I want to talk about what it's like for an INFJ to care about somebody and not be able to help them. In other words, your intuition sees what's going on. People around you are like, yeah, that's definitely how that's going to play out. And, whoa, how did you know that? Or even the person themselves is like, how could you, it's spooky. But even despite the fact that you can intuitively see what's going on and logically how it's going to play out, especially if the situation is a situation you've been familiar with before, sometimes people don't listen and bad things happen. And if it's someone you care about, your INFJ mind goes into overdrive again, overthinking, and it's like, what could I have done differently? Did I say this right? Could I have said this sooner? What could I have said a little differently? What if I had this person say something? And that kind of stuff. But all in all, you can't do anything about it, really. And this can play out in different ways. Like, for one, this could be somebody like, oh, I don't know, dealing with a family member or members, with drug problems. And perhaps they've had serious drug problems for years. And you talk about how that's going to affect them, not only financially, but you could get in car wrecks, you could get in trouble with the police, you could isolate yourself from friends, all kinds of things, health problems. And they don't listen, even as all that plays out exactly the way you said it would. But this is more true in an area that treats the status quo like an infallible religion, to where change of any kind is a dirty word, and the status quo must always, 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 always be maintained at all costs. Why it's like that here, I don't know, but it is. It is. People agree with me. People that have lived elsewhere or grew up elsewhere all see the same thing. So it's not the fact that I'm stark raving mad, which I may or may not be, but I don't know. According to the Arlington County Fire Department, I am not insane, because otherwise they wouldn't have hired me. Am I insane now because of what I went through there? Well, I do have PTSD, so you be the judge. So, that being said, there are other ways that this can play out too. It can play out with somebody in a toxic or abusive, or usually they're both, relationship, to where, you know, somebody's with somebody. They don't really want to be with them. They're not happy. It's obvious they're not happy. That person is consuming their whole life, particularly that person's a narcissist or a borderline. But the person is too afraid to say something because they're worried about how that person who they're with, that they don't really want to be with, will react. And that can be particularly frustrating if you, the INFJ, are the person that cares about them, and perhaps you were briefly together, and perhaps you were very happy together, but alas, forces aligned against you, thus furthering the person in the bad relationship to stay in the bad relationship because it's what other people want, because it's status quo. This can really play hell on your INFJ mind. Like I'm talking NITI loop time because you feel totally powerless. It's like, so you don't want to be in the situation you're in. You acknowledge that I'm probably right about how it's going to play out, but somehow I'm still the bad guy. Yeah. It can be very frustrating. I wanted to give these two examples in enough detail so you understand where I'm coming from because I've been in both of these situations recently. So, how do you deal with this as an INFJ? Well, for one, you have to acknowledge that you have a hero complex. I did a video on the INFJ hero complex. You should watch it along with my other older videos that not enough people watch, and they're pretty awesome videos, despite the fact that I have a microphone on my face because I was too cheap to buy another one. Yeah, I get that from my father. I don't like to spend money on myself. I do spoil girlfriends when I have them. It's few and far between. Quality over quantity kind of guy. Anyway, the NITI loop, you're going to deal with this when you're in these situations because your hero complex is going to kick in. And your INFJ guilt's going to kick in because, that whole we like to help people thing and we're intuitive and we get our sense of value and purpose out of helping people. The guilt's going to kick in because you're always going to think you could have done more. That's how we are. We never feel like we did enough. Yeah, we don't take praise all that well either. But you always feel like you're not doing enough, even if you're doing everything you can. That still plays on our minds because, given the overthinking in the NITI loop, the thought of what did I miss? Like, what crucial piece did I miss in my mind? Like, the piece of the puzzle that would put it all together in a different way, and this could have played out differently. And truth be told, usually there isn't one thing INFJs that we all have to deal with, and I've been dealing with it longer than I've known about any of this stuff, is a lot of times people don't listen to us because they don't want us to be right, especially narcissists. If you're a black sheep INFJ, like I'm not black sheep INFJ, two things like me INFJ, me black sheep, and narcissistic family. So, despite my intuitive abilities that I've actually worked on and honed, I'm discredited a lot and dismissed simply because I'm me. It's not what I'm saying, it's the fact that I'm saying it, and I must be kept down because in my family I am a threat to the status quo. I am a threat to the made up narcissistic rules because I say things like, well, who gets to decide that that's the way that has to be done? And how did they get that power? And how do I remove them from it? That kind of thing. That made up titles. You get a lot of that where I grew up. Like, you know, people's supervisors at work that feel that they have the authority and control to tell their underlings who they can talk to outside of work, who they can date, and they truly believe that that's within their power. It's like, I really like this girl. Should I ask her out? No, I got to go get approval from this restaurant manager first, and they truly believe that that's normal and not insane. So just to give you an insight of what you might be dealing with. But to my broader point, sometimes you have to realize that it's not within your power to have things play out any differently. You, as an INFJ, we as an INFJ, if we sense something, see something intuitively, we see the pattern, we see the pieces of the puzzle coming together, and we approach that person and we have that conversation of like, look, this ain't good, and this is how I see it playing out, and especially if we're like, and I've seen this situation before, and or if you've known the person a while and it's like, you've been in this kind of situation before and this is how it went down, and then you didn't learn from that, and you told me to speak up if it happened again, so now I'm doing that, and yet somehow I'm still a villain. If it's that kind of situation, you've done all you can do. Especially if you're talking to someone well enough that they know that like you're usually right about this shit 85% of the time or more. What more, that you've really done your part. You've laid it out for them. You've spelled out the high probability of how the situation will play out. You cannot make them listen. You cannot make them change, and because I believe in free will and all, as most INFJs do. But for your own conscience, for that sense of guilt, it's not like you just sat back and let the person continue down a destructive path, or let an abusive or narcissistic partner destroy them. No, we speak up. We let people know, like, hey, this is who this person really is. This is what they are without the mask on. And I know what I'm talking about. And, I can't tell you what to do, but you should know this. Basically, we give people the information that they should have when they're in a bad situation to make their own decision. Now, sometimes it's extra frustrating in these situations when the person we're trying to help doesn't really make their own decisions. When they're a total pushover, that can weigh on your mind quite a bit too, because especially if you can read the person, as we usually can, where it's like, this isn't what they want. They're people pleasing again. And they feel like these other people have power they don't have, which pushovers usually give to other people. That can be extra frustrating. You can, call the whole situation out and call everybody out for who they are. If you do that, I suggest you do it sober and don't record it. Because if you record something where you call narcissistic people out that truly believe they have power they don't have, and you do it drunk, you might get a call from the cops. Yeah, just saying. Not that that's happened more than once. But it's something to be aware of. Sometimes, no matter how true something is, people don't like the way you say it. And sometimes, especially here, people are so protective of the toxic status quo that anybody who dares call something for what it is, um, simply speaks the truth, must be discredited and vilified at all costs. So know that that's a risk too. I've talked about that in other videos. But to the main point, sometimes INFJs, there are people you want to help very badly, and you cannot. And deep down, when you've done all you can, when you've told them, intuitively how it was going to play out, when you've told other people who may have influence over those people, like, hey, this is bad, this is how this is probably going to play out. When you've let it be known, that it's a bad situation, that perhaps that person either A, can't get out of it on their own, or B, doesn't make their own decisions, or some other reason. Those are two common ones why someone would continue down a destructive or abusive path. But you can't force somebody off of that path, and it's hard to deal with. We have to be the ones who continue to speak up, even if we get vilified for it. I've talked about that in other videos. But understand, sometimes you truly couldn't have done anything more, or at least not anything more that would have made a damn bit of difference. And you have to realize that. And you can't destroy yourself over the guilt of feeling that you haven't done enough, because if you do that, then you can't help anybody else, and then you'll go down a dark spiral. So understand there's people that are, at least at the time you're trying to help them, can't be helped, or perhaps don't even want to be helped. It's frustrating. I hope this video gave you some enlightenment onto what that's like, with some examples that I've recently experienced. I'm sorry if they resonate with you, because that means you've been where I am. And I don't want anybody there. Probably not. Not really. So trust your intuition when you feel like you've done all you can do. And, remember, your integrity compels you to speak out, even if you're going to be vilified for saying the truth. Please like and subscribe. Watch my older videos. Help this channel grow, because it needs to grow to help more people and to give me some sense of purpose, which, I need a little bit of now, because it's been a really rough 2 years, and a cartoonishly rough couple of months. So I hope these videos help. Please help them reach other people. Like, share, subscribe, post them, do whatever you do. But thank you for taking the time. And remember, INFJs, we help people. That's what we do. Some people, even if we are, or probably are, the solution to their problems, they don't want to be helped, or they're so enslaved that they feel like they can't be helped, or that they don't deserve help.